If there is an organ of state that has earned itself some credibility with South Africans, it has to be SARS, whether you're afraid of it or simply grateful that it has done a very good job. But it's been making news in the last year or so for all the wrong reasons. Yes, it may have been continue to be a competent revenue collection service, but the politics is getting in the way. Now, if you believe what's in the papers, SARS is at the heart of systemic abuse of organs of state to further narrow factional political interests at the expense of the national interest. Those are big allegations, but they're all over the place, so let's test them. This is the Moneymakers. I'm Bruce Whitfield. I'm joined by Luther Lebelo, who is Group Executive for Employee Relations at the South African Revenue Service. He's the PR guy, basically. Is SARS broken?
No, it's actually more stronger.
How's it stronger?
In the last, since October, once the allegations were brought before us through the Sikhakhane panel.
The allegations, tell us what these allegations were. The allegations of the rogue unit,
yes,
published on the front page of the Sunday Times.
Yeah.
Largely discredited?
Not after that.
Okay.
Because then what happened is that the former acting commissioner of the time, Ivan Pillay,
yeah,
instituted a commission of inquiry led by Advocate Sikhakhane. And that commission submitted its report on the 5th of December, the 5th of November, and made the following findings. One, that there is a rogue unit.
Did he use the word rogue unit, or did he use the word investigative unit?
Okay,
where does the word rogue come from?
Okay, I think the word rogue, and you're right, maybe it might have been planted by you guys from the media.
But no, looking for clarity. You used the word rogue, yes. So Sikhakhane didn't call it a rogue unit.
Look, I've read too many things. I think he did. But if he did not do, what he said is that there is a unit that did unlawful activities.
There was a unit within SARS that carried out investigative activities.
Yeah, unlawfully.
Was it illegal for an investigative unit to be housed within SARS altogether? Yeah. Was that beyond the SARS mandate?
In terms of Advocate Sikhakhane, and I'm sure you'll be better placed himself, he said the activities that were communicated to him to have been committed.
But he only spoke to a very small grouping of people. He also was relying on evidence from a very small group. How thorough was his investigation?
But that's why then he even advised us to proceed and go deeper. And that is when the KPMG was brought on.
Massively discredited as well. The KPMG report didn't speak to everybody. It had a very narrow focus, and KPMG's got egg all over its face.
No. You see, when people discredit a report, I normally want to know who are these people and what is their relationship with the report. In fact, being in South Africa for the time that I've been, of course I'm born here, I've had people discrediting reports all the time when the reports implicate them. And we always say, instead of doing that, let's allow the process that gives you an opportunity to defend yourself. Now, if you're using Mr. Pillay, for instance, we then set a disciplinary process chaired by Justice Ngobo, because we wanted to be clear that we are bringing the most senior jurist so that there's no issues of unfairness. Now, the date was set when you're expecting the hearing to run. You guys applied for a media presence, which was going to happen, and they resigned. And after resigning, then they are outside now. They're saying, but we didn't commit. And that is, for us, what becomes an error all the time. If you make an accusation against me and I say I did not do it, and you provide me with a process to defend myself, I must take it with all the opportunities and defend myself.
So as things stand at the moment, the SARS position is there was a rogue unit within SARS that broke the law.
Yes.
Did that rogue unit have the sanction of the then SARS commissioner who was instrumental in setting it up, Pravin Gordhan?
Look, I think the minister is on record to say, as far as he knows, the unit existed and it did legal work. As far as the advocate Sikhakhane, who investigated the matter, he says the unit existed, but it did illegal work. And that is the problem with an investigation. So if you institute an investigation by such a senior person like Senior Counsel Sikhakhane, you are therefore entrusting him to say, go down, check for me and give me the facts. And by the way, immediately after the report came, Commissioner Moyane is on record for having disbanded that unit because it existed. So was really not.
There's no question that the unit existed, but it was about the mandate of the unit and what that unit got up to, which is unclear.
Okay, let me complicate it for you.
Oh, excellent, thank you. That's what we like to do on the show, is rather than clear things up, we like to complicate things further.
Okay, now it's common cause now because the Hawks have made that statement, that two of the rogue unit members came out and confessed to the effect that they worked for the Rock Unit. They committed a criminal act, which was to install cameras into police and all that. They were given 950,000 rand, which was later 250,000 rand in cash. So you are talking about, and it's allegations, obviously, that the Hawks is investigating. You're talking about racketeering, you're talking about money laundering, you're talking about possible treason, because one of the allegations that are raised there is that
who are these two? This is van Lochrenberg?
No.
Who are these two?
Maybe let me not mention their names for the purposes of the investigation.
Okay, so these are two people whose names are not in the public domain.
Yeah, well, they were in the public domain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again,
but I'm just saying the
bridge,
relationship that we had with the Hawks is that we need to.
Okay, let's say hypothetically,
but that is a fact now.
Let's say hypothetically the two people have confessed,
Yes.
under duress or not, or because it's convenient to confess at a particular point in time, to committing criminal activities. Now, is it possible within SARS that these criminal activities could have happened without the knowledge of their seniors? So I put it to you that way because here's Ivan Pillay, who institutes an investigation that's going to implicate him in potentially in illegal activity. That is like the turkey voting for Christmas. That is what makes no sense in this whole process.
But Bruce, you've been around in the media circle. It's not the first time that people institute investigation, then they come and buy them. The truth of the matter is, people have confessed who claim to have been reporting to Mr. Pillay for having committed all these things that they say they've committed. And on the basis of that, we then said as SARS that because you as Bruce, you're the head of this thing, these people are alleging, let's suspend you so that we get an opportunity to investigate you without interference. And of course, if there's nothing wrong, we'll give you the opportunity. If there's something wrong, you'll have to account. And that is exactly what you have done.
What about the Max du Preez dossier? We call it the Max du Preez dossier because he's writing about this dossier, saying somewhere in SARS, in a safe, there is a file of paper this thick with bank account details of individuals who have, courtesy of the investigative unit, have been exposed as having connections to political figures and have profited from those connections. And there is a file in there under lock and key, and only Commissioner Moyane, he wears a key, I don't know if he's got a chain around his neck with a key on it, but he keeps it close to him at all times. Is there that file?
Look, this morning when John Robbie asked me, by the way, I was trying to get hold of Max to interview him, and Max was not picking up the call.
Max has written something, and it's there for the record.
And
his story doesn't change.
I said, in South Africa, we must reach a point where people who makes wild allegations. Or
so is there a file?
No, there's no such a file. The Commissioner Moyane doesn't have a key to any file.
How do you know?
How would Max know more than me?
But how do you know that there isn't one?
But why would Max know more than me? I work for SARS. I'm supposed to be more believed than Max. Max is just a journalist who sometimes want to write something, and he wrote that. But
so would you take legal action against Max du Preez to say to him, reveal your sources?
Look, the commissioner has been in the road shows for this, for the collection of revenue. I think when he comes back, we'll have to apply his mind. And such possibility must exist because you agree that there are very serious allegations.
There are very serious allegations that should be investigated. Now, that is, of course, if Tom Moyane is still the commissioner of SARS, because I was at a breakfast last Friday morning. I asked a couple of people a couple of questions. One of the people on the panel was a man called Trevor Manuel. You might remember him. He was Minister of Finance. I said, if you were Minister of Finance for a day, today, what would you do? And he said, I'd write a letter and fire Tom Moyane. I paraphrase. That's what those were roughly the words. The knives are out. Pravin Gordon, front page of Business Day last Friday. Either Moyane goes or I go. There's a civil war in the finance section of government between SARS and the Treasury. It's an untenable situation. How does it play out?
Okay, the first one about the former minister. By the way, we issued a statement yesterday to say we are very disappointed by such comments.
He said it, and it's out in the public domain.
Yeah, because he can't fire him.
He can't fire it, but if he was, it was hypothetical, that's what he would do.
No, he can't, because it's not because it's Pravin Gordon. It's because the law does. The commissioner is appointed by the president
through the finance minister. Now that's what makes the Tom Moyane's position quite interesting, because in the past you had commissioners of SARS on the recommendation of the minister appointed by the president. So there was quite a clear reporting line. Except the president, when he appointed Tom Moyane, went around in Tlantlanene. There was no recommendation.
No, it's not. Let me correct you there. Before 2002. In terms of the SARS Act, the Minister of Finance will appoint the commissioner. No stories. from 2002, the act was amended. By the way, in our media statement, we have quoted it. And I remember the person was saying, I was saying, why are you quoting this in the statement? He said, no, journalists don't read. So quote it there for them. So there it changed. And what is the two major changes? Actually, the most major change is that the Commissioner of SARS is both the Chief Executive Officer and the accounting authority. So if you use a DG as an example, a DG is only the Chief Executive Officer,
so
the
only
minister
the
is an accounting
we're running short of time.
Yes.
So only the president can fire Tom Moyane.
Can hire Tom Moyane. He doesn't need a recommendation from the minister to hire him. He doesn't need a recommendation from the minister to appoint him.
But he can fire Tom Moyane. So if Pravin Gordhan and Tom Moyane go before the president goes, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, he's got to make a choice because they can't work together.
I don't know whether they can work together.
But is Tom Moyane keen to work with Pravin Gordhan?
Of course. He has always been keen. He has insisted that even now with this media thing, the reason why he was quiet, he said, look, I don't want to engage the minister through the media friends. That will be the worst disrespect I'll give him. I'll approach him and engage him through the appropriate channels that I design.
But there's no trust. The minister seems to see Tom Moyane as a driving force behind an attempt to see the finance minister now put out of his job, courtesy of the Hawks investigation, into the investigative unit.
But that is the point we had to clarify, that this investigation was never instituted by Mr. Moyane. So it cannot be that Mr. Moyane instituted something to get rid of the minister. This thing was instituted before by the Sikakani, and you said it right, that Sikakani couldn't conclude certain things, and he said, guys, go deeper. And KPMG, and by the way, when the KPMG was done, was 2014 in December. So there was no way that we imagined that on this day, the Minister of Finance.
Is this fight happening between the SARS Commissioner and the Finance Minister in the country's best interests?
Look, obviously if there is a fight, because we hear about the fight. But
so there's no fight?
No, I'm saying personally I can't, because if there is a fight, somebody says prove the fight, I can't prove it. But if there is a fight between the two, obviously it's not in the interest of the country. The president has issued a media statement.
If one of them should go, which one should go?
No, none of them must go. They are very two competent people who this country needs, especially this time. And they have to work together to make sure that we go forward. None of them must go.
The trust is broken.
I don't know about the trust. What trust is broken?
At the press conference, the budget press conference, there were 4 people sitting there. Was an empty chair. Traditionally, the minister would invite the heads of so the DG, the deputy finance minister, the Reserve Bank governor. He snubbed Tom Moyane. That is not a good working relationship.
Maybe the minister must explain why he did that. But remember, he also said that invite is at the whim of the minister. So if that is a sign of being a bad relationship.
I don't think he said at the whim. I think whim is your word.
No, I saw the word. Okay, maybe not whim. I don't know. You better know English than me. But for us, where we are sitting, we've got no fear that
is the big business unit, what's it called? The large business unit. The large business unit, is that being closed down in March?
No. And that is another thing that we clarified in our statement.
People working there.
No. Let me tell you for an example, Chris.
Bruce.
That's
sorry. Okay.
Okay. So before this operating model, we only had 4 centers in the whole country. So if you're running a business, you are in Rustenburg. It's either you must go, let me use Kiani. It's either you must go to Joburg or Cape Town or Durban. You had only 4 businesses. The operating model diagnostic report identified that as a weakness. We have expanded it to almost 40 branches. We have identified that base erosion and profit sharing is a problem. As we speak now today, we've got only 32 specialists in that area, which by any standard, because we did a lot of benchmark, is very, very small to target South Africa. We're increasing that number by 4 times. So if anything, that area has been expanded more than being collapsed. And it's one of the things that we wish to clarify, because we can't. How can we seriously try to destroy the large business getting service when we are the cream?
It would be suicide.
No, we'll never do that. Anybody who will do that must just hang. But we're not doing that. We're expanding that because we haven't been touching the deep side of business. That's the point we're making. We're touching the surface. We believe that if we can have enough capacity to engage business, firstly with the relationship, because remember we work with service, education, and if you don't comply, then we put compliance. We believe that if we engage the business more broadly, we will get even more billions into the institution.
Well, I certainly hope you're right on that one. Luther Lebelo, who's Group Executive for Employee Relations at the South African Revenue Service. It is a fight, and there will be a bigger fight to come, and time will tell who will be dominant in that particular fight. What do they say? There's, I think it's an old Kenyan proverb, when the elephants fight, the grass gets trampled, something along those lines. Thank you for watching. That's it from the MoneyMakers. Good night.